So how do you know Paula Sims?
After Melanie was buried, Paula reached out to me. She wrote a letter, and she asked me would I be willing to correspond with her. And I told her absolutely. And she and I started writing, and we've been writing now, 14 years. Yes. She's a wonderful woman. She's a woman now.
What did Paula do?
Paula harmed 2 of her children. When I say harm, I don't use the word kill, but she harmed 2 of her children, 2 of her babies.
Why didn't Paula bring up a defense of postpartum psychosis during her trial?
Well, if I didn't know anything about if I didn't know anything about postpartum psychosis, I know that poor little farm girl didn't know. She didn't know anything about it. Melanie was married to a doctor. He had never heard of postpartum psychosis. He went and got his medical books afterwards, and he was going through his medical books, and he never had it in his medical book. There's a psychiatrist that lives in my building, and she told me that she looked and looked. She didn't have it in her medical book either. They just put it in the nursing book now. I think they used Melanie's picture. They put it in a nursing book.
What was Paula's sentence?
I think Paula's sentence was life. Yes, life.
Without parole.
Without parole. Oh my God, this is
Yeah.
awful. This is terrible.
Why do you believe that Paula was suffering from postpartum psychosis?
Because she did everything that women with postpartum psychosis do. She harmed her kids. She wanted to kill herself. Postpartum psychosis is no joke. You know, the thing that really bothers me is that it doesn't happen to actresses, women that are like the princess. It doesn't happen to them. It happens to the ordinary girls that can never get out of prison. The other girls had their little bouts. Don't get me wrong now, depression is terrible. But they didn't go to the extreme of harming themselves or their kids. If some woman of fame had postpartum psychosis, they would look into it. If President Obama's daughters had postpartum psychosis, they would look into it. But they're never going to look into it as long as it just happens to the regular, ordinary Jane.
And do you think women need to talk about it more?
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Family members are ashamed. I get a lot of phone calls, and I hear horrific stories about women that are suffering from postpartum psychosis. After they call me, I'll ask for their number, and I call them back, and they don't want to talk to me about it anymore, which is really strange.
And you think that's part of the shame?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you want to help Paula get out of prison?
I met Paula in person. I have a feel for Paula. I've talked to her on the phone. Paula is one of the sweetest ladies I've ever met. And it's not fake. And she's very religious. And she's very positive. And she does things in the prison to help others. And I think even if she had, it's time for her to come home. It's time for somebody to say enough. What can she do? She can't have another baby. She's going to have a hard enough time adjusting to life.